here. Welcome back to my channel, or welcome to my channel if you are new here. Today we're going ahead and doing a speed build video, and this one is a little bit different to any speed build I've really done before because it is a 2-in-1 speed build. Basically, the point of this entire build is that you could have two families, like two households living on the same lot, so you could control them both without them having to live in the same physical house. So this means that they would all still be in the same household, they'd all still share the same household funds and whatnot, but you'd sort of be able to make believe and use your imagination, which we have to do a lot in The Sims. So I just like to make these kind of houses occasionally when I have maybe like a family that is branched off into smaller sections of a family. For instance, if you start out with one Sim and then they have a kid and then their kids have kids and you just have all these people in the same household, but you don't want to move them onto a different lot. This is one of my favorite things to do. I do it a lot in my own personal gameplay. Usually I just tack like a granny flat in the backyard. But this build is meant to be like this from the get-go. So you could use this for any of your families that you have that have gone ahead and done that branching out. Or you could use it for some families that you're wanting to play with together. So my inspiration, I guess you could say, when making this house, my ideology of who was going to live here, is some of our Island Living characters' parents. So if you don't watch the Island Living LP, that's completely fine. But if you do, you'll know that we have Kane and Kiki. They are two of our characters and they are cousins. Growing up, they always had to share a house and share a bedroom. They always lived in the same house, even though they're cousins. They're not brother and sister or anything. Because their parents were never fortunate enough, they were never financially stable enough to each have their own house. So they would always have to rent or buy houses and live in them together to help pay for the bills and the mortgage and whatnot, rent. All that good stuff gets expensive because all of the people that are living in that house, so basically it's a mum and a dad and another mum and a dad, and one of the mums is brother and sister with the other dad. So they're related, right? Brother and sister were living together and then they both found partners, got married, but they just stayed living together. And that was something really I guess it'd be kind of strange in real life in a lot of cases if you were to still live with your brother if you were both married and you're living in the same house. They would always have 2-bedroom or 3-bedroom houses at the very most. They were always very small houses because neither of them could afford to spend a lot of money on housing and whatnot. So I'd find it really awkward, but I feel like the people I'm talking about, if you know who they are really down to earth, really family matters, and what's important is that we have each other, and they're more like that. They don't care about privacy as much. They're whatever, we've all seen it before, we're all just gonna hang out, we're gonna share one bathroom. They always only ever had one bathroom. And now they moved to Oasis Springs. They always used to live in Solani. They used to live on the island and they used to live there, and that's sort of why their houses were always really small, because it was more about being out and about. They were never stuck in the house anyway, so it didn't matter how much room the house had. It was about what was outside of the house. So when they moved to Oasis Springs, they had to move there for their child's education because the schools on the island are good, but they weren't as good as they are now back in the day. And they wanted to give their children a fair shot at life so they could go ahead and go to school somewhere else and then move back to the island after they were done going to school. So when they moved to Oasis Springs, the housing was a lot more expensive there, and they were living in a 1-bedroom house with 2 couples and 2 kids for a while. And they did eventually end up being able to branch out, but for a while they were just all sleeping in the same 1-bedroom house. They didn't have enough money, they were so poor, and what mattered was that they all had each other. So basically, once they went ahead and had their children move on out, the parents, they said bye-bye to those kids, Kane and Kiki went ahead and moved to Solani. So they didn't have those kids in the household anymore, and they were feeling quite lonely, but also it enabled them to earn some more money, because obviously if you've got less Simlies in your household, that's less bills to pay, less water, less electricity, less this and that. So yeah, Kane and Kiki moved into Kalani's house in Solani. They saw a advertisement in the paper and went ahead and moved there when they were old enough. So from that point onwards, the parents could save more money, and that's sort of what I'm envisioning happened, that when the kids went ahead and moved on out, they were able to save more. They just worked really, really hard, kept on getting promotions in their jobs. They're all very hardworking people. But then by the time it got to the point where they'd all were starting to miss their children, they were damn, we really want to move closer to them. We want to live back on Solani. They had really no reason to keep living in Oasis Springs. Oasis Springs was lovely and they had a nice house there, but they eventually wanted to live in their own houses. And I guess this is sort of their like middle-aged section of their life. Like their kids are definitely in their 20s now, so they are getting up there in age, but they're still working. So it's not as if they're moving here to retire. They're moving here to live a better life whilst they work. So that's sort of what I envision it as. They're just coming here to work more and to play a little bit on the side as well. And also just so they can be closer to their kids, because right now they're kind of really missing their kids. So this house is sort of meant to be a 2 house on the same lot for these people. So each house is sort of fit for like a couple to live there. So the bedrooms have en suites and walk-in robes and stuff like that. And then one of the houses, the blue house, the one that we're in right now, has a bedroom upstairs and it has 2 single beds in it. And I imagine that is the room where Kane and Kiki would stay if they ever needed to stay here. Or it's sort of just a guest room where they can hold up any guests that need to stay overnight or just need to have a nap or whatever. So the houses are also pretty different. I tried to make them look sort of the same in theme and style, but have some different colors. So if you were to see this lot from the map, you might think they're 2 separate houses, but you can also sort of see how they're connected as well. Like we got the pathway leading in between and all that good stuff. But as you can see, one of the entrances is at the front of the lot and one is at the back, which I think is a really cool idea. And then the one that faces the back has sort of a side entrance that can get them down to the pool easier, and they got that little pool down there as well, which I think is super duper cute. So each of the houses has their own sort of creative theme. So I started off with wanting one of them to be really traditional and one of them be really modern, but I realized that these characters aren't really modern people. They would much prefer to have a traditional home. Like if they're moving back to Solani, they want to live in a Solani house. Like it's going to be Solani-rific. That was so silly. Okay, anyway, so one of the houses is just 1 bedroom. They got the awesome closets, and then they got an ensuite. They got a little area up on the landing where they can do some reading. They got a nice little wraparound balcony up the top where they can do some grilling, sit there and have some dinner and watch the sunset. And then downstairs they got more of a living area, kitchen, dining, another bathroom for guests to use, and on the deck they've got some areas for people to sit and have some food by the beach. But this household, like the orange household, is still a little bit more traditional and the other one's a bit more modern, because I imagine that maybe they used to butt heads a lot about some things. For instance, I imagine maybe like Kane's parents were like, no, like I don't want my kid to watch TV, and Kiki's parents were like, yeah, we don't care about TV, or like whatever, the other way around. So one of the houses, one of the like people who move into these houses are going to be sort of anti-technology a little bit. They only really use technology for like keeping their food cold and cooking and like stuff like that, but they mainly like to go ahead and only read books for entertainment. So they have a bookshelf, they have some books that they read, they got a nice little reading nook, but in their living room they don't have a TV and they don't have one in their bedroom either. Whereas the other household has a nice big beautiful TV in the living area, and then it even has a TV in the kids' bedroom, in the guest room, and the kids' room even has a video game console. So they're sort of opposite in that sense. Like one of them's more willing to have like TV and electronics and stuff, and the other one's a bit more wary of it. And I don't know if you saw, but I was doing some cool things with a sink into the counters. I used the Island Living sink inside the Island Living counters and sort of raised it and moved objects to it to look like a really cool, like independent floating sink thing. I haven't actually playtested that, so I don't know if it works, but if it doesn't, there are plenty of other sinks and cleaning facilities on the lot. But I just thought it looked really cool, so it wasn't really about functionality at that point. I just thought it looked really freaking snazzy. But I think that the houses do a good job at having their own individuality whilst also being unique and similar enough that they sort of flow together. Like you could think, oh yeah, they're definitely 2 separate houses, 2 separate people live here, but you know, they fit the same theme. You know, the same builder built both of these houses. Right now you can see me placing a little room down in the bottom right hand corner of the lot, and then going ahead and placing some trees all around the lot. If you didn't know, in I think probably the most recent patch when this goes up, unless this goes up a little bit later, we went ahead and got some new features added to the game. So we got the new redesign. We went ahead and got the new Creator Sim story mode, and we also went ahead and got a whole bunch of new build buy objects unlocked. So if you didn't know, you need to enter some cheat codes to get these. You might want to enter testing cheats true, like testing cheats on, to go ahead and just enable cheats, because sometimes some people have said they need that. And then you need to go ahead and go bb.show hidden objects on. And then you need to go bb.show live edit objects on. So you need to turn both of those cheats on. I'm sure there's some more better tutorials out there. I probably just described that so wrong, but that's basically what you need to do. But if you want to save some time and you can't be bothered doing that, or maybe it's not working for you, or it's frustrating, or it's time consuming, you can go ahead and head on over to my gallery page. My ID is Bree Simulated, or try searching by the hashtag Bree Simulated and click on it from there. But I went ahead and created a whole bunch of rooms of all different things that I have already used a couple of times in builds. So as you saw in this build, I went ahead and used the palm tropical trees room. So I basically went ahead and organized all the plants by categories like flowers, and then I did like bush flowers, scattered flowers, you know, all different kinds of things for all of the different things you could think of. I haven't actually done them all yet at this stage, but I might have by the time this video goes up. But I even wanted to do it for like food and like cleaning and all different kinds of things. I mainly just did plants and like street objects the first day, but I want to do the rocks. I want to do everything. So what I do is I just make a room, size everything down as small as it can be, and then plop it into the room and then upload it to the gallery. So if you're ever looking for a specific tree that you know is only unlockable, go ahead and check on out my gallery page. ID is Bree Simulated, or search by the hashtag Bree Simulated. Or if you also search by show live edit objects, I'm sure a lot more will come up. If I haven't done them, I'm sure someone else has. So yeah, that's an option for you to do. Like there's a whole lot of hidden objects that have been released to the public now, which I think is super duper cool. And I've been using them a lot in my builds already. Definitely the trees and stuff, like especially for this build I did. And I also went ahead and used like a fish drying rack, a like fake clothesline, a boat, like so many plants and shrubs, and just so many different things that really make this house have personality, because I definitely took a while moving this family in. Like from the beginning, I'm gonna say that I'd been planning on moving in Kane and Kiki's family to Solani, but I don't do it until like halfway through the LP. So as you can see, we're in the screenshots. The screenshots are first of both of the houses, and then you're going to go ahead and see the orange house, and then the orange house's floor plan more closer up if you want to just see that one. Then you'll see the orange house screenshots, and then it will plop into a photo of the blue house floor plan, and then the screenshots. And at the end there are just some screenshots from around the place from both of the houses. But I really like the blue house more. I think the orange house is great, but I think I really prefer the blue house. I had a lot more fun doing the blue house. Whereas by the time I sort of got to the orange house, I was sort of running out of ideas on what to do. And I think that solely comes from the fact that I was building two houses in one go. Like, you're going to get burnt out at some stage building a house. But if you're trying to do two houses, especially two houses at the same time, you can sort of just... Sorry, I thought someone was knocking at my door. Oh my god, I just freaked out. You sort of just go ahead and like get lost. You're like, what am I going to do? I've already placed a barbecue. I've already placed this. But even if some of the things do seem kind of repetitive when you're doing townhouses or villas or like beach houses side by side like this, even if it seems repetitive, remember that it probably isn't, because if you're having two separate households live here, it's okay that they have some similar objects, because they're not going to go over each other's house technically if you thought about it like in real life. So like, yeah, we have like two grills, but like whatever, they might each be grilling at the same time. Even though this household, both of them are probably more likely to visit each other, I just wanted to make it more standalone for people who want to make two completely separate households live here, if that makes sense. So basically the way that you could achieve that is by going ahead and locking the doors for specific sims and only allowing access to certain sims. That's why I didn't want to create too many back and front doors. I think each house only has 2 entrance and exit points, so that's only 2 doors you need to go ahead and lock, which is pretty cool. That's the best way I found to do it. It just makes playing with multiple households at the same time more easy and condensed. And if you ever just wanted like to just like not take care of the other household anymore, you could just lock them in their house and they'll take care of their own needs as long as free will is on, and you can just concentrate on your own household for a bit. But yeah, I love this little pool. I even put like a little coconut drink by the side of the pool. I love the clothesline. I love the little like letter boxes I put. Oh my god, those letter boxes are so cool. But anyway, I'm going to go ahead and leave this video here. If you want to download this, my ID is Bree Simulated. And until next time, I hope you have a very snazzy day, and I'll see you all soon. Bye guys!